Hello, everyone. How are you all doing? Stephanie, how are you?
Great. How are you doing, Michelle? Hope summer's been going well.
Summer has been going fabulous. We did get a little rain in Las Vegas, so that's always very much welcomed.
Yes.
And I am looking forward to today's episode, and I'll tell you why. This is an area that sometimes goes unnoticed in a way, but it's also an area where it is extremely important, and the value that that role brings into the entire operation of the hotel is extremely crucial. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever it is that you are. I am Michèle Kline with Kline Hospitality, where we help people and businesses grow. And I'm here with my co-hostess, Stephanie Ledger from First Rate Hospitality. So, Stephanie, I'm going to give you the title for today, which is going to be Night Audit.
Yes.
Why does Night Audit go unnoticed sometimes? So let's talk about Night Audit. And I'm sure you have plenty of stories to tell. Hopefully you can narrow it down to one. and maybe we can give everyone some tips on how to, make sure that our team members know that they're extremely valuable in that role, and also keep them motivated to keep on going.
Absolutely. So Night Audit, I mean, this is third shift. You are working with your skeleton crew. You're not really having the leadership that's there most of the time. That's during the day. Also, too, there's a lot of departments that are now closed down. So now you're also, too, playing different departments as well, say for housekeeping, if a guest was needing a requested item, or guests are, needing to have a late night snack, and now you have a grab and go place as well. And so you're doing multiple things at multiple different times, and you never know what could happen during your shift as well, which is one of my crazy stories. When I was doing Night Audit, we had these VIP packets that actually had the guest's name and room number. Well, one of our guests decided to throw it in the garbage can in the middle of New York City, and someone found it, came during the overnight, and thought that they could use that key to go up to the guest room. They ended up taking a taxi cab down to the hotel and was like, "Oh, I'm just getting my purse. I'll pay you later." Up in the room. And so then she tries to get into the elevator and couldn't, because of course the keys were no longer in use because the guest had checked out. And then we had to go through our system of like, all right, well, do you have any ID to confirm that you're staying here? Oh no. And it turned into a whole thing that we ended up having to call the police to get involved, to then being able to making sure that this person needed to leave the premises because they were not staying on property, even though they found the keys in the garbage can. Crazy WTF story.
That is just crazy. And yes, how, if the team members that were on duty that night, or your night auditor, being that person the only one, doesn't have those protocols and procedures narrowed down,
yes,
there is a huge risk for that team member making a mistake. I remember being on vacation. I was on PTO, and the day I get back home, I receive a call early in the morning. And it was my AGM who was saying, something happened last night. It was around 3 o'clock in the morning, and it was someone who pretended to be you, called the hotel saying, "I need you to access a safe, because somehow a family member of mine," pretend, right? It wasn't me. And it wasn't someone really. This person said, "I'm calling on behalf of," and I was a general manager at that time. And thankfully, my night auditor knew what the protocols were. he was very upset and tried to make things work. But literally, this person was trying to retrieve funds from our safe at the time. But the AGM got the call, troubleshooted on it, and so on. So it is so important how team members knowing what those safety protocols look like and having those protocols in place. It's extremely important, especially when there is only one person on property, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And then the empowerment, giving that empowerment to your team members, as well as, you review the protocols and the policies and procedures, but then also too is, just making sure that your night auditor, is strong enough in having that empowerment to making sure to making those right decisions that are, at 3 a.m. that you won't be able to call your general manager or call someone else, but being able to, having that empowerment to being able to take care of situations until the morning hours.
Absolutely. But then what happens when we have that, everybody has one of these or has had one of these in their career, that one night auditor where they become so sharp at what they do that there is a lot of time left in their hands. So I had I love visiting my teams, right? And I love getting involved and I love being hands-on. But I also, because of the nature of what I do, I like doing assessments at first and showing up without notice. I typically don't use the same schedule. I will not show up at 3 p.m. every single Wednesday. And in one of my rounds, I showed up at one of my properties at, I think it was 3:34 in the morning. Super quiet. I choose to use a different door as opposed to the door that was right by the front desk. And we had beautiful marble floors and I was wearing heels. So I decided to walk from that door further out all the way into the front desk and, click, clock, as I'm walking down the front desk. And, so this person could anticipate there is someone coming. Well, there's no one at the desk. Crickets, right? But I could see that the door to the back office was open. So I decide to go into the back office. And obviously, when you're using your key card or your fob, it kind of makes a noise before someone walks in and so on. So I walk in and my night auditor is completely asleep. Completely asleep. I stand behind him and I'm waiting and waiting and nothing. And he is completely asleep, snoring. He had a hoodie on, so he was super cozy. So I end up touching his back so that I could alert him that I was there. And all of a sudden he jumps up and he's like, and gets off the chair. And I look at him and he looks at me and he was like, I really didn't know what to say. And he didn't know what to say either. So anyway, I'm going to fast track this long story short. We had a great conversation. And here's the thing. I've always been an empathetic leader. He ended up explaining to me why it is that he is so tired and died and this and that. But we had a good conversation where he explained, he had a 2-year-old at the time and his wife worked during the day and he had 2 jobs. And long story short, the guy wasn't getting any sleep.
Yeah.
So we decided to craft a list together, even though there was something ready for him already and available for him to stay busy throughout the shift. We decided to craft that list together because I figured if he's able to come up with different ideas or tasks for him to keep him busy, he's going to buy into it way better than if I give him a copy of what's already in place. So we created this list together. He came up with amazing ideas that weren't even part of the list. And from then on, this never happened again. So he was not only able to salvage his job, because it's not very normal that the GM would walk into you sleeping and you will stay put and stay employed. But I picked my battles, and this was a good learning moment for him. And he ended up being a fantastic employee and continued moving on from there. So that was a success story, in my opinion.
Nice. Yes. But I agree of looking at the list, and also too, just recently at a project that I was working on, we looked at what the checklists are for the first shift, the morning shift, and then also to the evening shift, and seeing what items can we take off of that list, because that's when the most guests are at the desk and you're running around wherever the guest requests may be, or trying to move rooms assignments around too, or answering phones, and what items, from that list can we now move on over to the overnight shift as well, to keeping them busy, but then also to now helping each other out and relieving what tasks the AM and the PM needed to do that now can be done on the overnight.
That is a great way of streamlining operations as well and making sure
Yeah.
that we balance things out, especially these days. We keep on hearing about the labor crisis, and in reality, if you've operated at a destination resort anywhere in the world, you know what being shorthanded is,
Yes.
right? Sure, these days it's worse than it has been ever before, and it's now hitting every single city and every single piece of market. But that is a great way of streamlining, especially when you're shorthanded, and making sure that everyone gets a little piece of the pie. And also, on the other hand, they do stay busy.
Yes, absolutely. And also too, when I'm talking to a client and we're creating the schedule for training, is making sure that overnight is included. So whether that being, okay, we'll do an hour training right at 11 p.m. So it's the start of their shift, so they're still fresh, or if it's better to do it, at 6 a.m. right at the end. So now the front desk, the morning shift is there to cover. So then there's no distractions, to making sure that they're still involved with the training as well, is because that's part of your routine. The guest could come right at 2 a.m. An auditor coming and inspecting your hotel, and they had delays with flights, and then coming in, and you want to making sure that you're providing that service throughout all of your shifts. It's not just having a strong AM or a strong PM, but also to your overnight, having all of the training tools as well.
Absolutely. And how important is it to realize that in smaller properties, your night auditor is your manager.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to make them part of the process. And then on the other hand, there are so many properties out there, and I believe this happens in several industries too, where we don't cater those training hours to the overnight team.
Exactly.
And that is one of the items that pushes them away from being engaged and feeling part of the bigger picture. So you make a great point, Stephanie, when you say we have to make sure that we accommodate those training hours to fit the needs of those who work the graveyard shift as well.
Absolutely. And even employee engagement as well. There's properties that I've been to where we've done like a breakfast for them, or a a dinner right at the beginning of their shift, because those shifts are very hard to cover as well. And so when you have someone that is, yes, I need to be the night auditor because I'm going to school, or they take care of their kids during the day, or whatever the reason may be, and they like, yes, I will be, that night auditor and working those overnight shifts. That's great. But then when the employees are not feeling the love, and they're seeing that, during the AM or the different shifts get to have different like snacks and celebration parties, and then they're not part of it, then they're, looking to go somewhere else. So you need to making sure of building that engagement. So then, you have that longevity of an employee too, covering those shifts.
And Stephanie, you mentioned making them feel the love. And
Yes.
what a great opportunity the overnight shift is, because you have less team members. So you have that chance to sit and have those one-on-one conversations, get to know them better,
Hmm.
understand what the world looks like. How does the swing shift affect their shift as they go through it? What are those things that could be better if you change a few things here and there to get the day started for the day shift? Or
Yeah.
what is their life about? What do they do? What they like doing? And it's such a great opportunity to be part of those visits and have those conversations with your night team members. And I don't think management does that often. How
Yeah.
many times have you showed up on an overnight shift and they've said, "This is the first time I see anyone from corporate office," or "This is the first time I've seen a GM here at nighttime," and they appreciate it so much. And
Absolutely.
it's so simple and so inexpensive to make that little move, that little change for them that
Mm-hmm.
moves the needle in such a great way on the engagement scale.
Absolutely. And then also too, you start finding out too of different struggles that they're going through. I remember one time checking in with overnight team, and in order for them to actually do the night audit, everyone has to be logged out of the PMS system. And so, good old sales department, just saying, would still be logged in. They've left for the day at 5 p.m. and now overnight is having to go and walk around and finding out who's still in the system, and now shutting off their computer so then they can be able to perform the night audit. So then from there, we made sure that, like, sending the reminders out to everyone, make sure that when you're leaving for the day, you're also too logging out of the PMS system as well. So now we're avoiding that struggles that the overnight and night audit and extra steps that they're having to go through, because it's already, just them alone, to being able to get things done. Or the same thing of when guests are requesting, for a toothbrush at 2 in the morning, or whatever the item may be, and then they find out that where the items are, that closet is locked, or now they have to walk longer. So it's easier to now having like a little basket at the front desk as those items that are highly requested for, to making sure now it's easy that the front desk has it right there for the guests, instead of having to now go and walk the closets and trying to find the item.
Absolutely. And then it's
Mhm.
technically at the expense of the night auditor when there could be collaboration between departments. Now, Stephanie, how do you feel about some of the smaller hotels or limited service hotels where they only have that one person? Your night auditor is the only person on property at nighttime, and there is a
Mhm.
guest request. So in many occasions, my decision has been to ensure that the main door is locked.
Mhm.
All of the other doors are key access only anyway, so the
Mhm.
property is safe. And
Mhm.
then having the night auditor, like you say, if you have the items nearby, being able to grab the items that were requested from the room and walk them to the room. How do you feel about those specific instances where the team is not trained that way? So the night auditor, instead of walking items to the room, they would advise the guest that they are welcome to come to the desk to
Mhm.
pick those items up.
And I think also too of just informing the guests, for security purposes. I mean, even for them going up to the room, we talk so much with housekeeping, with them entering in the rooms during the day, and there's so much security and precautions that we go even while they're in the room, and guests, are walking by, or walking into the room, making sure they're using their key. But the same thing also too with night auditor, because they're there by themselves, no matter whether it be a male or a female. But, for security purposes, we need, we have the items for you down here. That's why also too, everything is on camera as well, because you never know going up to the room. You want to making sure that your staff is, feeling safe too.
And how important is it to communicate it the
Yes.
right way? Because the
Yes.
first impression your guest may get is, this person is too lazy to come up
Yes.
here and bring my towel when I didn't receive service all day, right? So it's
Exactly.
extremely important to select the appropriate words to be able to deliver that message and articulate the reasons why, like for safety reasons or for
Yes.
security reasons. This is
Hmm.
what's going to be available to you. Or something as simple as placing a card in the room that explains this protocol between the hours of X and Y. this is how we're happy that you to provide you with anything that you may need throughout those hours, but you have to come over to the desk. So communication is still key.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's communication to the guests, but also to your employees, to making sure that service is consistent as well. Because how many times you do, one off, you end up going up to the room, and then it's your day off the next day, and then the guest was like, well, they came last night and they came up to my room and deliver it. Why can't you do it tonight? So making sure too that all of the staff is on the same page as well.
Super. Stephanie, one last thought on Night Audit for everyone to
take care of them, show the love, because it's definitely a position that we're already short staff as it is, and even that position, it's so hard to fulfill. But once you have that rock star that's fulfilling that position, show them the love, so they can also graduate in their own leadership steps as well.
Absolutely. I could not agree with that more. Show your team the love and take that opportunity to actually walk the floors, go out there during their shift and understand what their world looks like.
Perfect. Well, have a great one.
Thank you, everyone.